Today I'm going to share with you guys one of the coolest apps you can pair with an Ioniq 5, an Ioniq 6, an Ioniq 9, an EV6, and potentially more eGMP vehicles from Hyundai, Kia, Genesis in the future. This is an app called Ioniq 5 Companion, and it's compatible with iOS. Sorry, Android folks, you're going to have to wait until they end up porting that over to Android. But for now, it's an iOS app available on the App Store. It costs $13, which I know is steep, but this is a must-have if you drive any of these cars. A lot of you have heard me talk about car scanner and OBD2 devices. This is similar in that it uses a wireless Bluetooth OBD2 dongle to plug into the port on the car to send data to your phone, but this is an app that is specifically designed to give you a very nice looking CarPlay interface and a bunch of other useful features that I'm going to show you guys in this video. Now, I was actually lucky enough to meet the developer of this app, Greg Burlingame. He lives not too far from me here on the North Shore of Boston, and he came to my Iona 2-year meetup in, I believe, February or March. It was an awful day, snowstorm, but he made it out. We met, we talked. Very nice guy. I'm really happy to support what he's doing here. Version 1 came out about a month ago, and he has been releasing regular updates to beta testers. If not already when this video is posted, version 2 is coming very soon, and it offers a bunch more upgrades from version 1. But anyway, let's start off by talking about how you use it. So you're gonna need a Bluetooth OBD2 scanner. This is my trusty VPeak. I will have links in the description below to purchase one. There is a 10% discount if you go to my website, ioniqguy.com, and then that will take you to Amazon where you can purchase this. It's usually on sale for about 25 to 30 and then tack on a 10% discount. But you're gonna take this, you're gonna plug it into the OBD2 port, which is located under the driver's left knee in basically all these cars. And then you're going to download and install the Ioniq 5 Companion, and you're going to pair it with the app, which is very easy to do. The app will walk you through the process. So that's how you connect it. Let me show you guys all the cool stuff that Ioniq 5 Companion can do. All right, so let's plug in our OBD2 Bluetooth scanner into the OBD2 port. And you can see immediately it recognizes the same one that I've plugged in many times before, and it's just going to automatically connect. And from this status screen, it's automatically going to switch into the driving tab. Now, you'll notice there are two tabs here. So you have driving and you have charging. Obviously, we're going to be in driving right now because we're not plugged in and charging. And from here, you can see all the various different pieces of information that are very helpful when you are driving one of these cars. So first things first, pack state of charge, SOC state of charge. 71%, which shows that we have 56.0 kilowatt hours left in the battery pack. So that's very helpful, especially when you're road tripping. You can see truly how much energy remains in the battery pack before you'll get down to 0. Next up is some more pack information. 756.4 volts, 0.8 amps is being drawn from the battery pack right now. I do have the air conditioning running. And 0.6 kilowatts. Next to that, you do have a large power indicator. When you're actively driving the car, you will see this showing how much power is being drawn from the total system. So you'll see it go to the right when you are accelerating or holding a steady speed. And then you will also see it go to the left when you are regenerating energy into the battery pack. Next to that is cell voltage delta. The little triangle means delta. So that is going to be the difference from the lowest voltage cell in your battery pack to the highest voltage cell in your battery pack. So right now you can see 20 millivolts. That's within tolerance. That's nothing to be concerned about. You'll see this grid with all these little green squares. Those are the various cell voltage measurements. When driving, you will sometimes see those change to yellow. That's normal because when you are taking a bunch of power out of the battery, the voltage is going to drop on some of the cells. So you'll see that, but it's nothing to be concerned about. If you start seeing red squares on here, you might be having a battery pack issue. That might be the time when you want to have it checked out. Next to that is also very useful. That is your 12-volt battery statistics. So right now we're sitting with the car on, so it's charging the 12-volt. So it's putting 14.71 volts into the 12 volt. And right now the 12 volt state of charge is at 90%, currently being charged at 3.45 amps. Next up, front motor RPM, and then below that, rear motor RPM. I'll put some clips on screen right now of what that looks like when you are driving the car. This is helpful to see when you're on the highway if the front motor clutch disconnects. This will lead to better efficiency. If you're seeing a bunch of RPMs on the front motor, that means that you are probably in sport mode, and that is going to lead to poor efficiency. But most of the time when you're just cruising, if you have highway drive assist set, it will disconnect the front motor clutch, and that will just be a straight little line like that. You'll only see RPMs on the rear motor. Next up is a headlight status indicator. So right now they're off because we're sitting out in the sun, but if I manually turn them on, you will see they pop on. Coming down here, you'll see tire information, and this is some information that you normally wouldn't get through the car. You can see not only your tire pressure, but you can also see tire temperature, which is interesting. Right now, we're sitting directly in front of the sun, so the front two tires are a little bit warmer than the rear two tires, leading to a slightly higher tire pressure because I had these all set for the same tire pressure. Next to that is some temperature information. So AAT means actual air temperature, which is the outside air temperature. IAT is indoor air temperature, so inside the cabin. And then that relative humidity measurement down below is also the inside of the car. If you do live somewhere where you do use the metric system, you can change this to Celsius. Next up is a compass. You can switch this specific tile to either be a compass or a odometer for the car. Here I have it as a compass, and when you have your phone positioned with the top of it pointing towards the front of the car, it will keep the compass accurate. If you start rotating your phone, you will see it does change, but your phone does have to be in this straight on orientation for the compass to be accurate. So I just leave it here on the wireless charging pad, and then that shows me an accurate reading. Now, these two tiles right here are, to me, the most exciting ones with the Ioniq 5 companion. I did have a hand in kind of developing these. I came up with the idea for this, and I also provided Greg with a bunch of raw battery preconditioning data to use for this. Basically, when you activate battery conditioning, this will give you an estimated time until your battery reaches 70 degrees Fahrenheit minimum temperature, which is when battery conditioning will end. So here in the 2025 Ioniq 5, that's useful because you have a manual battery conditioning button, which you can activate on a road trip. I'll show you that right now. If we go into EV settings, right here you'll see battery conditioning. I can just hit activate and that will turn it on. Right now battery temperature is at about 70 degrees, so I can't activate it, unfortunately. I do have some footage that I shot with this system previously, and I will put that on screen right now. When you activate battery conditioning, this will turn on, and then it will give you a little time indicator that will count down until it thinks your battery will reach 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, this is based on some data that I collected in all the various eGMP platform cars I've tested over the years, and Greg also created an algorithm that as the battery temperature increases, it will kind of adjust that timing based on how the temperatures are trending, how quickly they're approaching 70 degrees. So it will get more accurate the closer you get to 70 degrees. I think this is going to be a really useful feature come winter time. Obviously it's summer now, so it's not super useful. But I'm really excited about this, especially because there is going to be a hardware solution coming to 2022 through 2024 Ioniq 5 and 2023 through 2025 Ioniq 6 and EV6 as well, which will allow you to use the favorite button on the steering wheel to activate battery conditioning in your cars. This is kind of in the preliminary stages of coming out. I'll have more information on it in the near future. Right now, we're doing some beta testing, but that will be coming to market very soon. So stay tuned for more on that. We already talked about rear RPM, and then next to this is something called brake light. So right now the car is sitting in park. If I put the car into gear, you will see it now shows brake lights are on. If I take my foot off the brake and give it a little gas, it does turn off. And you can see when I press the brake, it does turn back on. When you put the car in park, shows brake light is off. So a lot of people are always asking, how exactly are my brake lights working in the car? This can give you a real-time status indicator of what they are doing. So pretty nifty. Now, because this is an iPhone app, you do have a application on your phone, not just in CarPlay. So here in the app, you can see a lot of the same information you're going to see on the CarPlay display So overview, you see some information here. There's some extended information here like isolation resistance of the battery pack. You can see your VIN number. Here under battery temperatures, you can see all the temperatures of the various modules in the car. You can see if preconditioning is on or off. You can also see a more extended graph of the module temperature history, heater temp history, and whether preconditioning is on or off. So this is nice information. Charging, that will not populate until you are actively charging the car. We'll get to that in a little bit. Here under battery, you will also see some more information. You'll see all the various cells. Here's something Greg did called battery odometer. If you click little information, tracks the total energy that has flowed in and out of your high voltage battery pack over its lifetime. I don't really have a ton of information on how accurate this actually is, but here you can see it says 1357 kilowatt hours discharged over 1461 kilowatt hours charged. Multiply that by 100, that gives you an overall energy efficiency of 92.9%. Which, based on information that I've read, is about how efficient an EV actually is when you take into account charging losses and things like that. So that's actually pretty nifty. Going down to the tire screen, you can see the same information that's on the CarPlay display. Same climate information. Here you can see some ICCU information, like the part number that you have installed on your car. It says the build date, which was October 4th of 2024, a serial number, some just general information there on your ICCU. Here under motors, you'll see RPMs, just like on the CarPlay display. Here's some more 12-volt information. And then last but not least, regeneration. Available 266 kilowatts, pack peak 277 kilowatts. Let's see what the little information tab says. When you lift off the accelerator or brake, the motor acts as a generator and sends power back into the battery. The dial shows how much is being recovered. So regeneration will decrease the closer the battery pack gets to 100% state of charge, because there's really no way to regenerate energy into a battery pack that's already full. I'll have to check that more when I do have a battery that is basically at 100% to see if that pack peak is lower than 277. If you click the icon up in the top right, you can reorder these in any way you want, which is nice. Next over is inspect. So this is basically like a diagnostic scan tool. So you can start J1979 crawl, and then it will come back and show you any issues that it finds. Let's just start that right now. Common Hyundai code detected. Your scan found a permanent diagnostic code. Drive motor position sensor circuit on the drive motor controller. This code appears in virtually every Hyundai scan and does not indicate a real problem with your vehicle. I'm really glad it says this, because I get asked this question all the time about that specific code, and you can just hit don't show this again because I know what that is. So it doesn't appear to have found any issues. You can share the report, which is pretty nifty. Next tab, history. So this is something that is new for the 2.0 version of the Ioniq 5 Companion. Version 1 did not have this. This is a really cool feature. So you're going on a drive, you're going on a road trip. Here, if you have the OBD2 scanner plugged into the car and connected to Ioniq 5 Companion, it will log all of your driving sessions, it will log all of your charging sessions, and it puts them into these nice, tightly packaged little buckets of information that you can just quickly pull up. So I did a pretty long drive this weekend. Let's take a look at that. So you can see here Sunday from 6:20 to 7:55 p.m. The car averaged 3.4 miles per kilowatt hour. You can see our state of charge went from 49.5% down to 15.5%. You can see the duration, the distance, max speed, energy used, battery temp from the low end to the high end. You can see a graph of your state of charge, speed over time, distance over time, brake light applications, pack current, cabin temperature, cabin humidity. Very cool stuff here. And then up in the top right, you can just hit share. Here in files, I can pull this up and it generates this really cool looking image with all the information. If you want to quickly share a charging session or a driving session on social media, you can now just post this to Facebook, Reddit, whatever you want, and share every stat from your trip or your charging session. So cool. This is a great addition. I am so excited about this. Now I did do an AC charging session, so let's pull that up as well. So data gaps detected. This is because at one point my phone disconnected from the car, and I believe I unplugged the OBD2 scanner. But what it does is it will fill in gaps. Like if you are AC level 2 charging, it will just assume that you're just holding that current for the entire charging session. So here you can see some of the information on that. You can see AC charging should have been just fixed at about 6 kilowatts. That's what I get from the charger here at my apartment complex. And same thing, you can share that. And here you can see a quick to share little image for social media. Pretty cool. Now, all of this information is backed up to your iCloud account, so you can access it on the go if you want to. It's all secure. Very cool. And then the last tab here, settings, you can see which OBD2 device it's connected to. You can turn on or off auto connect. You can change your units. You can do light mode or you can do dark mode. There's also an unplug reminder, so if you don't want to leave your OBD2 device plugged in permanently, which I do not recommend, you should unplug it when you're not driving the car. You can have the app pop up a notification that says unplug your device. You can also disable open driving tab on Connect, which I showed you before. Here's where you can replace the odometer with the compass like I have on. For the brake light indicator, you have 3 settings, so you can have it be a red background like I showed. You can just have red text, which will just illuminate the center text in the box, or you can disable it completely. Keep screen awake when off. Your device may dim or lock while the app is open. I don't really want to keep my screen awake, so I will disable that. And here you can see sync to iCloud. You can set the maximum amount of storage of your iCloud partition you want it to use. So that's nice that it's not just going to eat up all your iCloud data. There's some other various diagnostic tools down here. I'm not going to get into that in this video, but you can play around with those if you are interested. So with driving out of the way, let's head to a DC fast charger and I'll show you what it looks like when you're charging. All right, so we are now charging. So we'll go to the charging screen here. And here you can see it looks a little bit different than the driving screen for obvious reasons. So now you can see we are seeing what the car is requesting in terms of DC fast charging power versus what is being supplied. So this is something that is really helpful when you're trying to troubleshoot what the problem is, if it's the DC fast charger, if the car is limiting how much charging you're able to do. So right now you can see car's asking for way more than we're being supplied. You can see a timer starts. It's obviously logging the charging session in the app, so we'll be able to share that little screen at the end. We can also go over here to EVSE and see some information about the charger itself. So what this charger is able to put out total, 120 kilowatts, 1000 volts, max current 154 amps. These are those Autel all-in-ones, but it's kind of an odd charging station. We're here at Malden High School on the North Shore. Kind of a weird place to put a bunch of DC fast chargers, but alas, it's the nearest charger to my home, so I figured I would just hop over here and go back into the charging screen. Now you can see we're matching what's requested and what is supplied. You get a little graph of your charging curve. It's all just really cool stuff. Without the Ioniq 5 companion, you would otherwise not get any of this information unless it was presented to you on the charger's screen, similar to what the Alpitronic chargers do, like at Ioniq or Mercedes-Benz high power charging. So yeah, just generally really cool information to have. We'll let this charge up to 80%, another 5 minutes or so, and then I will show you guys what the little screen looks like in the app after you're done charging. Now, when level 2 charging at a home charger or a hotel or something, this will look different. The EVSE will show you all the information about the level 2 charger, because all that information does have to be relayed from the charger to the car. So that's good. So if when you're DC fast charging, you see a big gap between requested and supplied, that most likely means that there is some issue going on with the DC fast charger. You might want to switch to a different stall or a different handle and see if that resolves the issue. All right, so DC fast charging just ended. All right, so we will go in and look at our history. There's the DC fast charge session. You can see we went from 70 to 80%, 8.6 kilowatt hours added. max power. You can see all your graphs and information. This is going to be great for all my future testing here on the channel. Super excited to use this. Yeah, just all around very cool. So there you have it. That is the Ioniq 5 Companion. As you can tell, I am super excited about this app. To me, if there's any app you get for your iOS device to use with your Ioniq 5, this is it. This is basically replacing Car Scanner for me. All these easy share features are going to be great for all my future testing on the channel and future cars from Hyundai, Kia, and Genesis. And I'm just super excited to support a small independent developer doing something cool for these cars. So if you guys like today's video, give it a thumbs up. Check out my store, ioniqguy.com, for all sorts of accessories for your Hyundai, Kia, or Genesis EV. Check out the Ioniq 5 Companion in the iOS App Store. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one. Take care, everybody.